Good morning. I am feeling really good today. This is actually really only my first few days of having shifted how I'm approaching my meditation practice. I think it was only a few days ago where I mentioned really getting back into the regard everything as play energy. But even so, I feel a monumental difference. Like this morning, I woke up and instead of getting out of bed and doing my usual, and this is the second day I've done it, I did it yesterday too, but instead of hopping right out of bed and getting on my meditation pillow to do my meditation, yesterday and today, I decided to just lay in bed and do my meditation in bed, do the visualization part of my meditation practice in bed, and do caution to the wind. Didn't try to focus on any specific technique or method to do it. I really just focused on visualizing and just being in, I guess, what's called an ideal scene, but really I just focused on just being present in my desire and the feeling of it, and just in the now is the best way I can describe it. And truly it felt so good. It did elicit like some really organic and robust emotions, feelings, and so that was just really dope to experience that. And then I did it last night before bed, and then I did it again this morning. And yeah, I think that's gonna be one of the methods that's really gonna be what I focus on and work with for now, because I realized what happened was I got into this space of thinking or believing that there was the right way to do it, and it just basically made it complicated, like made it in depth and made it seem like it was something hard, not something easy, organic, just like simple. Because I was definitely one of those people who, I think the last 2 years, definitely 2023, but I might have discovered him in 2022. But I think I discovered Neville in 2022, and in 2023, like I went down the rabbit hole, read like, got one of the books that had like all of his books in it, read that a couple times, because it started out, I found like PDF versions online, then went ahead, bought the big book that had all the books he released plus some of his lectures in it, read that. And for a while it was just feeling really complicated, and I was just, as a creator on here, his name is Nero, as he calls it, I was intellectually masturbating. So I was just consuming inspiration, reading Neville's work, read The Power of Now, like did the Eckhart Tolle journey, read at least 2 of his books, I think, and then was it Shonda or Sarah Brime, what it was her book, the one that also had a movie. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know it had an offshoot book called The Secret. Read The Secret, The Magic, got into Don Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements, The 5th Agreement, The Power of Love, Self-Mastery, like read all his, but like I went into a serious deep dive and then got into some serious fucking intellectual masturbation and convincing myself that I had to change myself first, that it was too complicated or I just wasn't good at it. And then now really coming back to myself, but having been able to digest everything that I consumed over the last several years, and really like the entire time I've been intentionally on my spiritual journey, which has been about since 2014. I think 2014 was the first time I went to the library in downtown Silver Spring. Shout out to Silver Spring Library, which has been made over beautifully. But went to the library, and that was the first time I was really looking for books on other spirituality besides the spirituality I was reared in, because I just for a long time hadn't felt resonant with the religion I was reared in. And so going to the library, I was already doing yoga at the Y, and so I was curious. So I was looking in I think it's called the spiritual section. I don't think the word metaphysical had yet started really like bubbling in that public of a space, but it was spiritual and psychology. So I was looking in the spiritual and psychology section, and I found a couple books on Buddhism and a couple on yoga. And so I wish I could remember the Buddhism book that I found. I think on the cover it was like a guy with tattoos or something, or maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but reading that book just kind of really sparked something that really resonated with me. So then I was really curious about Buddhism and Taoism, tunneled into that, and then that just kind of led me through this journey of then going into more of a new age space, and then still thinking like, this doesn't quite resonate, and then just coming back to myself and believing that there's just an isness, and I don't have a name for it, and I'm okay with it, and but that I'm creating with. And so now coming back to present day with my practices, it really has, regarding everything as play and really returning to that more curious, youthful side of myself, has really anchored me into a beautiful space. Especially these last 3 or 4 meditations have really echoed this, because as a child, it's funny, I used to, before I had the word manifestation, I used to manifest all the time. There would be things that I wanted, and for lack of a better term, I would just exist in a state of just like, oh, I know I'm gonna get this. Like, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna get it. And I shared with Shaw the other day a particular story that I had completely forgotten about. But when I was a kid, these like limited edition or something, like, or single run, like rose gold DSs came out. And I really wanted one. Like, we had been at Toys R Us, I had seen one, I was like, I want that, like, that's mine. And that year, both me and my brother were asking for DSs. And my brother had run through like several iterations of like DS, Game Boy, whatever. But for the first time, I was like, oh, I think I actually really want one of these too. And I literally like was like, okay, that's what I got for Christmas. Like, that's what I want for Christmas. Like, I got it. And of course, you know, kid, you asked for several other things. So I asked for several things, and I can't remember whether or not I had asked for that specifically or not, because I think I had even been unsure in my head of like, I don't know if they're gonna get us both DSs or whatever. But I had my whole little list, and then under the tree that year was a rose gold pink DS. And the irony was, I was not a pink girly, did not love pink, still not a huge pink fan, but there was something about the cast and the tone of that color of the rose gold, and I loved that. I loved that DS. So yeah, that was an example of realizing, like, even in childhood, I was manifesting. I just had no regulations, no parameters, no concepts had been stuck into my head about it. I was just like, I want it, I'm gonna have it, and like, that's all she wrote. And then it's funny because I think throughout my childhood, I think I may have been asked a couple times about how stuff happens for me, and I think my response was just like, just because I think that's just how this is supposed to work. And I was realizing where some of these traumas came from was because I was met with responses of people saying, that's not how this works. Like, you're just lucky, or this, just attributing it to other things. Ooh, wait a minute. Almost forgot. There we go. This incense is courtesy of Lorena from I can't remember if it's sun rituals or sundial rituals, but shout out to you, Lorena. Gracias. I love it. I use it in my morning practice to just set my mood, set the energy. So I think I had just come to a place of digesting and believing these concepts that were the antithesis to what I actually believed. And so that started changing my mindset. And I think that's where I started that slippery slope of no longer just having fun manifesting. Even though I had no idea, I didn't have that word, that concept, I was just existing, I was just being. But in having this recollection, it brought me back to, oh, it is just that easy. Just being in that. I think the term that was either coined by Steve Jobs or that people called Steve Jobs was that he had this reality distortion field. And I was like, yeah, I had my own reality distortion field. I lived in my joy and my dreams and receiving what I wanted, having fun, and having that memory come full circle and be like, oh, that's literally how I need to approach this. It's organic, it's happening all the time. And I think that's one of those messages that wasn't sinking in for a long time, but now hearing it from Taylor Toogs, Tirika, Nero, the underlining thing that's really been shouting at me recently is we're not new to manifesting. We're always manifesting. The goal now is just to intentionally and mindfully do it, and to do it in my favor, instead of manifesting the shit that I don't want. And the examples I've heard both Taylor and Tirika use are when you say, oh my gosh, so-and-so's gonna feel like this, and they're just gonna treat me like this, and it's just gonna be a shit show. And then that exact thing happens because on the inside, you were convinced, you were sure, you were having these rehearsal conversations and ideas of what they were gonna say, how you were gonna respond, da 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 da. And then acknowledging that if you can do that for the worst case scenario, because I am sure as fuck guilty of that, you can do it for best case scenario, living your best life, having your clear skin, having the long hair. Like, you can do it for anything. And so I've been really sitting in that beautiful space of, oh, any of this is possible. Like, all of it is up for grabs. And that's a gift. Like, that's my gift. And something that was interesting that Tirika mentioned, because I did, like I said, had a whole sort of little new age rabbit hole, and got into astrology for a good minute. One of the things Tirika mentioned was there are some overlap places, and if you choose to so look at or engage the astrology practice, there are some benefits that come along with certain signs. And she is also an Aquarius, interestingly enough. I wonder if she's the January or February Aquarius. But I am also an Aquarius. And one of the things she mentioned was that one of those things, that Aquarius trait that tends to be very, very controversial but can be helpful in manifesting, is the ability to detach. And I was like, once she said that, it just hit me. Like, that weight set into my soul, into my spirit, and was like, oh, I see where this is going. Because sometimes that's what it takes, is not having that hyperfixation or that paranoia or that stress about is it or is it not going to work, but having that tendency to just be able to be like, oh, it's nothing, and detach. But then also I have the Cancer moon, and so I also have the ability to sit deep into that emotional feeling state, and with the awareness of the states of emotion that I want to be in, of joy, of love, of gratitude, of peace, of contentment, I can sit deep into those emotions, detach from the ones that aren't supporting and benefiting me, and also detach from the ideas that aren't supporting me. And so, yeah, I didn't really necessarily have a direction for this video, except for just, with all of these are going to be just little diary logs, entries. So yeah, I just woke up feeling really good, feeling really excited about this transition in my practice to visualizing and doing it in bed before I get up, and then getting up, doing my breath work and affirming when as I'm doing my breath work and that portion of my meditation, but allowing just being in the comfort of, oh, Zinni's at the door. He's like, why? I had to close the door this morning because Shah's watching TV. I hope you can see him. Shah's watching TV, so didn't want that sound bleeding in through the video. So yeah, I'm just really excited, really grateful to continue to explore in this space of my journey, to really lean into this visualization practice in this particular manner. And that's the funny thing, like I have really strong imagination and visualization, and so relieving myself from the concept and idea that it's hard, that I'm not good at visualizing, or that there's a specific process or method and that there's a learning curve to it. Just relinquishing all of that and really sitting into the awareness that I already know how to do it and it's easy and I'm doing it all the time has changed the game. Something else I did as a kid that I've also re-implemented in the last few days is talking to myself. And talking to myself as I used to as a kid. I told Shah this the other day. I used to talk to myself as a kid as if the things that I wanted had already happened. So as a kid, I was in the performing arts. Like I've dibbled and dabbled and played in all of the arts, damn near, it feels like. And so as a kid, I was a theater kid and a dance kid. And so I would have conversations with myself as if I was like interview style, like somebody was interviewing me and talking to me about like, well, how did this feel and what was your process, blah 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 blah, things of that nature. But then I would also talk to myself as if I was talking to a friend about some achievement or a place I was excited to travel or something that I was doing or this project I was a part of. So I brought that back in as well too, and it feels so good. And the way it elicits genuine response from me, like when I allow myself to just fully be in it and not allow the ego or whatever or the doubts to be like, this is ridiculous, this isn't real, but like really lean into it. It's so fun, and I actually do like get into the feeling state of these things, and it just, yeah, I'm really excited to see where this is going to, where it's gonna go. And not even where it's gonna go, because I know. I'm just excited to see the things that I have manifested materialize, basically. Yeah. So, and I'm excited because there are things that have definite benchmark or indicators for them. So one is our home, and then another is, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just excited. I'm really excited. So that's all I wanted to share. Just share my excitement, share my gratitude for the realizations, and yeah, just encourage. If someone sees this and you're in a space of where I've been, and maybe you've been for a short time, long time, however long, just encourage, just giving some encouragement to what do you have an inclination to do, to think, to feel in terms of your dream or your manifestation, your desire. Lean into that. Like, I overcomplicated it for so long, so I would encourage ease, like what resonates, what seems easy, what seems fun, because what I found is the thing that feels the easiest or the most aligned has been the thing that I needed to go forth with and lean into, and is what has made the biggest difference for me. Like what this video is about today, like what feels right, what feels like it's calling you. Because that was the funny part, like underlying as I was doing all of this consumption of information and intellectual masturbation, like there was an undercurrent of this knowing that was telling me, you're stalling. You're trying to find some other way. You're trying to make something else responsible so that you have yourself alleviated from having to be in the driver's seat, from having to take accountability. But with growing awareness, self-discipline, and consistency, and self-trust, all of that has pretty much shifted. And now being able to be honest with myself about, the things that you can do, you have the power, and you have the power, so lean into it. That has really changed everything for me. And even though it's only been a couple of days, I think one of my favorite things to remember is that time is something that we have created to be able to have experience, connect with others, things of that nature. And something else has been, the moment I decide definitively about something, I have found that it's been so. Like several weeks ago, I made the definitive decision that I'm not leaving dishes in the sink. I'm also not using the dishwasher because we don't have a lot of dishes. And it is easy that after each meal, after each cooking, and with cleaning while I go, it's easy to keep the sink empty and keep stuff either in the drying rack or immediately drying it after. And made that statement, that declaration, has been the same since. The only time there was a slip up was when we were running in and out of the house back and forth during Miami Art Week, and then immediately the last day, like Monday, when it was the last day, had been Sunday, did a full deep clean. Sink has stayed empty since. And then in terms of meditating daily, I was soft on saying whether or not it was gonna be twice a day or just once a day, and gave myself wiggle room. And since making that decision, I have meditated at least once a day. And then yesterday or the day before, I decided to double down and be like, no, we're meditating bumper to bumper, morning and evening, and working our way to having one midday too, because I feel good doing it. And then the thing that's helped me lean into this change is also realizing that all these other methods and things that I was doing that was making it complicated made me uninterested in meditating, pushed me away from it. It felt like a chore, something I had to do. But leaning into the idea that it's fun, that it's whatever I say it is, and it works and it goes, that has made me excited to meditate, to date, because basically for me it's daydreaming. It's another form of creation, and I just have a good time. And because of that, I'm excited to, in the morning, in the evening, and then figuring out a time during the day, midday, to do it as well too, has just been really exciting. Oh, something else that when I said it was easy, was starting to do this intermittent fasting for a season where Shaw and I don't eat between bare minimum 6 and 6. So I usually wake up between 6 and 8, and then because I'm a night owl, that's converting more to daytime, because I really, really, really find that being awake for as much of the daylight hours as possible really does wonderful things for my being. So I'm shifting to that space for the moment. And I used to suffer with like terrible seasonal depression, and I haven't hit a big depressive wall or week's stint this year, which I'm so grateful for, but also doing everything in my power to continue to create the space that will allow this to flourish, and visualizing being in my practices is part of what makes that possible. So yeah, that was a long-winded close, but in closing, once again, I hope you just do what your spirit, what your soul is calling you to do, Don't overcomplicate it. Let it be easy. Let it be simple. Let it be fun. Like, letting it be fun and letting my inner child roam free has been what has made it such a difference in my experience. So, but do what speaks to you, because that's what I had to change. The S word, the seriousness. I had to stop being so serious, taking it so serious, making it into such this like this matter of importance, and instead just this matter of joy, this matter of fun, because those things are important. So anyway, peace, love, and fairy dust.